to borrow a phrase from a friend of mine, our secret sauce here, it's these young white men.
During the break, I just ate one of those.
Anyone have sex with my sister, it's going to be me.
All right. So, Dennis Prager of Prager You and fame and Women, You're Ruining the Whole World, his latest book.
Women are ruining,
why women are ruining everything.
They're ruining education. They're ruining churches. And there was one other thing. Healthcare. Yeah. Yeah. The perfect effect there.
The three things they're most for.
Yeah. So a woman who is a woman and is all of those things decided, this is Anna Kasparian.
Yeah, well, no,
that's not Anna Kasparian, but you're going to see her in a second.
Dennis Prager.
Oh, you're going to hear her in a second.
Well, no, you're going to hear him in a second.
Or you're going to hear both of them.
No, well, him first.
Okay.
Watch.
Well, she's going to debate him.
Yeah, but we're not going to suffer you guys the whole thing. It's like
no, it's like 30-something minutes long, but there's so much material in there that, well,
I was going to go with time, but it was 29 minutes, but yeah.
But I mean, what I'm saying is you don't have to play the whole thing. It's so full of
rich little nuggets. Yes. Okay, let's start off with one.
Debate them, but they won't debate us, and they won't come on our shows, and they won't have us on their shows. I have offered tens of thousands of dollars to any left-wing columnist on the New York Times to debate.
Even though I have way more than that.
They want. They could choose the moderator. They could choose the audience, and serious money.
Joining us now is Dennis Prager, the man you just saw in that video. And Dennis, I guess you could call TYT acetaminophen because we don't want you to ache. We want to make sure we give you an opportunity to feel good by debating someone on the left.
I was thinking, if only you were a New York Times columnist, how much money you'd be making now.
That's supposed to be a burn.
What do you think she says next? She's probably...
She says,
I'm not a fucking sellout like you.
Yeah, I'm a better journalist than you, though he's not a journalist. But
she fucking hates this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goes without saying.
It goes without saying, but anyway, you'll see.
But she does hold her vapors in check.
She keeps her vapors well in check, despite the fact that she has a job.
What was he citing? He cited that book that it was talking about the nomad men or nomads. The nomadic man is like dangerous and violent. That's what this asshole said.
Oh, does it? Because they don't have a woman.
And it's women's
fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Women aren't giving them.
Well, I'm a little more honest than a New York Times columnist, so this will be a great conversation. Thank you for doing it. So I wanted to. My pleasure. So I wanted to just kind of start off with,
and he says, you're not supposed to experience pleasure.
Disagreeing with the notion that the left is afraid to have these kinds of discussions or debates. In fact, you had tweeted that video that we started this conversation with, and there were a lot of responses from prominent individuals on the left. I want to give you a few examples, starting with Vosh, who's a big Twitch streamer. He's got a big YouTube channel as well. He says, you couldn't be more wrong. I love spirited debate in the free marketplace of ideas. He even provided his email and would love to have that conversation with you. My good friend, Ben Burgess, also responded. He's a great guy. He says, hi, Dennis. I'd be delighted to chat with you either on my show or you could host it through Prager You, or I'm sure Modern Day Debate or some other neutral platform would be happy to host it. And on multiple occasions, I noticed that Sam Cedar would also love to debate you. So he responded in that tweet as well, saying,
I believe that he agreed to debate her because he thought he could put her in her place.
I don't think so. I think that so he's going to pull this thing that is often done where it's like, we were actually listening to something Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about, how he's just like, well, if we just can't come to an agreement, it's like either I'm wrong, you're wrong, or we're both wrong. But if you can't find a way to like come together with people on facts, and that's what he says. He's just like, oh no, he's not thinking like he's going to put her in her place. He's just like, it's just giving him an opportunity to like say, see, I went on, this show and I'm not afraid of the big bad young Turks.
Yeah. Well, those people aren't going to actually watch the interview where she asks, she calls.
Mhm.
I said, I'm calling you. I think you're bluffing. Where are your facts?
Oh, yeah.
Available, and adding, Tim Pool knows what lengths he would go to not even be on the same stage as me, right, Tim? So there's some drama with Tim Pool, but just wanted to let you know, you don't have to ache anymore. There are lots of people on the left who want to debate you.
Oh, I have no doubt that there are a lot of people on the left. The issue that I raised was people at the New York Times and people like you, for example. You pleasantly surprised me by doing this, to be perfectly honest. And by the way, I think proof of my theory is a piece that I read on some left-wing or progressive site just today about how angry many of your viewers are that you're having me on.
This is nice little twist, right? So what he does here is he's like, people, he spins it in that he says, people were so negative on your website that you would even have me on here and give me a voice. And he's like, he goes, if I had you on, you'd never get that kind of vitriol.
Right,
And
right.
it's like,
and yet she went ahead and said, come on.
death threats and shit much? I don't know.
Yeah.
So some of the backlash I've received in that regard as well. However, I will say there is a reason why the right wing tends to be more open to having these kinds of discussions and debates, and the left wing gets a little uneasy about it. And it's because there has been this prevalence of prominent figures who identify as the left, right, or on the left, who then later start to, cozy up to right-wing figures, and then it turns out that they completely move to the right wing because they're essentially paid to do it. They're used as tools by the right wing to essentially spew right-wing talking points.
Dave Rubin
purporting to still be on the left. In fact, Dave Rubin's a great example of that. Dave Rubin used to work with us. He identified as someone on the left. Yeah, go ahead.
Forgive me, Anna. Dave Rubin made a video for Prager You, why I left the left.
Oh, I know.
He does not, in fact.
Now, if you don't know what the beef is, it's that Dave Rubin used to work for the Young Turks.
Yeah, and then
they said, if you dance for us, we'll give you millions.
Yeah,
and that's what he chose.
He said, fill my wallet, please, and then you can call me a faggot.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting because if I recall correctly, you had a conversation with Dave Rubin and how incredibly important it was that he was engaging in these discussions with you, discussions with the right wing. And you stated something very specific. I actually want to go to that video and I want to get your thoughts. Maybe you can elaborate.
What just happened?
I
got an ad. I contracted ads. I mean, we can't play this.
Oh, look, it's an online university because you're watching Dennis Prager.
Probably, yeah. That's what. Oh, you also get on Virgin.
Ooh.
So Dennis Prager is, again, it's just like he likes to refer to himself as a secular Jew a lot. You'll get that where he's just like, and that's kind of what, like there was a comparison to where it's like that he's just like, he goes, this should be the country should, I mean, okay, whatever. He's trying to explain about like Christo-fascists.
No. Yeah. It's like Christians who say to me, oh, we would love you to come to Christ, but you are so valuable to us as a Jew when you defend us Christians. Yeah. And they're right. You are valuable in the best sense of the word, because America needs people who are clearly liberal,
willing to sell out their values
and fall into the category of kosher as gay. Yeah. To say, hey, hello, the conservatives are not hate mongers. Hello, they should be heard. And maybe every so often you should read National Review, right? Or watch the Prager You video.
Hey, Dennis, why don't you tell Dave Rubin what you think of homosexuality?
Yeah, I mean,
talk to him the way you talk to your right-wing friends.
This guy does change people's minds. It's weird. I think I'm trying to find a spot where, so he suckered him and those guys. Like Like the guy that is the owner of the Daily Wire and like, Ben Shapiro, they promote these manly ideals while being anything but.
Yeah. I'm Ben Shapiro.
So, Mr. Prager, you can understand why members of the left would feel a little uneasy when these discussions take place, because usually it's a sign that someone on the left got lured in with some billionaire cash, like Dave Rubin did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an unfair statement. I don't accuse people on the left of having their positions because of money. And I don't think you should do that with regard to conservatives.
Right, because it never happens.
Alan Dershowitz is not a right-winger, but Alan Dershowitz said to me, this Harvard professor who's very well known, he's lost all his friends because he defended Donald Trump in court. He didn't even vote for Donald Trump. Just merely defending his right to have a defense was enough for him to lose his friends.
Oh, honey, if that's why you're losing your
Dershowitz
friends, maybe you need to pick new friends.
I don't know nothing about. I mean, I know about I know of Dershowitz. I know what his significance is, but I mean, what was he just trying to get like a little bit of fame out of Trump, being like, I defended him when nobody else would. I don't know. This guy is a Trump apologist. He believes that it should be this should be a secular government, but a Christian populace.
Well, he has some skeezy way of saying when he's confronted with the Constitution and separation of church and state, he kind of has a skeezy way of saying we should have. That's
what he said.
No. He says we should have a Christian nation,
right?
Judeo-Christian.
We should have a Judeo-Christian nation.
Judeo-Christian values.
Right.
So, which is kind of a way of creeping
away from the white people. Oh, look, I'm your white man's puppet. Because I mean, if he's Jewish, right? Is he not white?
He's skirting around the separation of church and state by saying we should have Christian values. I mean, it doesn't have to be the law. We don't have to be like the Taliban.
She corners him at one point and basically says, "You're trying to force your beliefs down the rest of our." Down on us. You're trying to force your beliefs on us. And he's just like, no, we're not.
And he goes on to say that,
or he goes, I will agree to disagree on this. But
he goes on to say that women are much less happy living,
that's right,
not being married and pursuing careers, and that they need to stay at home. They'd be much happier at home.
And that men are much more happy with a wife.
Well, yeah, actually, that's true. If you look at the data, men are a lot happier. Married men are a lot happier than unmarried men, and they live longer. But my argument is, okay, if a woman is supposed to stay at home and have a husband, why not have two husbands?
Well, that's what she brings up the point where she was like, almost every household has to have a working. Both parents have to work.
Yeah,
or both adults.
So, but if a woman,
both adults, not even parents, both adults have to work.
Right. But if you have two men and a woman, the woman can stay home,
right,
and the men can make all the money, and it makes sense. You have fewer children because a woman can only get pregnant so many times, whereas if you have two wives, or many wives, that man can impregnate them all at the same time. Well, but if you in a 3-bedroom house, I live in a 3-bedroom house. I have a kid and there's 2 bedrooms. So if I had 2 husbands, we could totally share, and that would cut. I wouldn't have to work. As long as the 2 of them are working, I don't have to work. I can stay home.
Right. But
I'll bet they're happier.
But the point that made, when you came to that conclusion, the point was that you were like, her point was that, like, because he's saying, oh, you shouldn't. And then he goes, you should, as a woman, like, you should always have a backup, a fallback career or whatever, in case you get divorced or whatever. It's just like, well, shouldn't she get alimony and shit? Like, shouldn't she be?
Yeah, that's a backward way of saying you
shouldn't he have to give her the lifestyle that he is?
No, he would disagree with that, because the woman usually in this country, it's usually the women who initiate.
No, who am I fooling? Women have zero fucking rights. No, shh.
No, shh.
talking about men.
Women are what was I going to say? You made me forget what I was going to say.
You said 2 women, 2 men, 1 woman.
No, I had another thing that
Oh.
I was going to say is he is trying to say that women should never be seeking divorce because in this country women are the ones initiating divorce more frequently than men.
Well, yeah, it's all those violent men that don't want to be married or can't have a relationship because they're violent.
Want their bitch to stay home, but don't make a decent living because they're off smoking.
No, he's so far.
Smoking dope with their friends.
The guy's so far off the fucking rails. It's ridiculous. He's in touch with a dying group of people, and he'll be dead soon enough. You know, along with the rest of the boomers, they'll all be gone. It'll be a bygone era. That's probably what there'll be no one left alive who thinks like this asshole.
So all the
That's
people
just
who
the way it's
destroyed
gonna
the
happen.
planet
Well,
are going to be dead.
They're terrified of it. Lindsey Graham. It's like, Lindsey Graham, if you wanted to, you know, further your insane fucking ideals, then why didn't you have some kids like normal people do when they pass on their insane shit, right?
Those kids would have nothing to do with him.
He's gay.
They would be
Anyway.
writing books about
yeah,
what an asshole their father is.
Yeah. No, again, it's just like people that don't have kids trying to tell you how to raise your kids.
Yeah, and the kids would, after he died, the kids would write books saying, "I'm glad my dad's dead."
No, God. No, it's just once the boomers go, then I can't leave you with that. I got it. There we go. There we go. Thank God.
Yeah.
So anyway, don't take yourself too serious, Dennis Prager.
Oh, it's way too late for that.
So
He took himself way too seriously. Now he's going to croak and that'll be the end.
look, next generation, you guys are gonna be just fine. Just fine. So, and all the stress that the boomers caused to us, that's gonna kill our entire generation early. You guys can make up your own names all you want. I don't care. I am the J. Tyler.
I am your Miss Parker.
And this.
You got to step up,
Yeah,
millennials.
step up, millennials. Come on. Step up. Pull
And
yourself
this.
up by your bit straps. And
By your
this.
bits. Pull yourself up by your bits.
Your bits.
This is Nothing Yet Live.